And then, bro, when I hit that, because on the computer, you can't turn off. The monitor is different than, like, where you turn off the computer at. So I hit that, like, close button. Bro, and before it closed, you know how it asks you, like, do you want to close these tabs or whatever? Back then, it didn't. It just showed me, like, the different tabs I had open. And she was like, what is this? What is this you're looking at? Go outside. And I was like, bro.
She sent you outside?
Yeah. Nah, I don't even know if she sent me or I just felt guilty and, like, went
ran away.
outside.
You're like,
I was like, I got caught, man. And I just stayed there until I, like, could just close the whole monitor and left, bro. Wow. And then that time, I felt so bad, man. She even, like. Yo, Benny.
What's up?
How are you, man?
I'm doing good, man.
Welcome, bro. Welcome to Sacramento. You're all the way from
Phoenix, Arizona.
Bro, you came from Phoenix to be here?
Bro, you flew me out. So
that's crazy.
I had to, man.
Wow, bro. That's an Amex, bro.
It was an Exodus. I felt like the book, like in the Bible, like when I had to take Exodus from Egypt, that's what it felt like.
That's crazy. We could already tell Benny's about to preach today. He's already starting to hot, man. Anyway, Benny, before I even introduce you, before I get to you, I'm going to just talk to my people.
Go ahead.
Our people. Yes, and then we're just going to get back to you real quick, yeah?
Of course.
Welcome, everybody, to the Everything Young and More podcast. It's about to get hot. Huh? It's about to get there's some heat that's coming up.
Yes,
we got Benny in the building. Today is going to be a different one because today we're going to be talking about some personal things. Like, to be honest with you guys, I wasn't even trying to, like, be on here talking about this subject, but I think it's going to help a lot of people. I think it's probably going to do good than bad. And it's going to show a different side of us and some things that we face as young people that most people don't talk about. But I know a lot of people go through it because I have friends that go through similar things. And so welcome to Everything Young and More. This is a podcast where we talk everything young and more, literally. And it's a show about connecting the older generation with us now, the young generation, and the younger generation that's coming up as well. So if you ever want to be on the podcast, if you feel like you got some insights too, hit me up. If you're older, then even better because you got some wise wisdom for us young people. Pull up. Yeah? Let's get back to Benny. Benny, yes, how are you, man? Good morning. Is it morning? I
don't know. Good afternoon. Good evening.
Good evening.
Maybe. Hey, we good. They don't know what time it is.
Exactly, bro.
Thanks.
Well, welcome, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, what you're into.
I do.
Who you're into? I don't know.
Oh, whoa. Nah, I do a lot, man. I do a lot. So right now, the biggest thing that on my plate right now is I am the youth and young adult pastor for AZ Youth and Young Adults.
Wow, man.
It's basically like a youth and young adult ministry that we started like a couple of years ago, like April 2018.
Yeah.
So myself and a couple other people, we started it with the goal to like just reach young people, to bring them together, to create community, and to do it in like a unique and different way than you know how usually most churches do it. So one of the ways we do that is through like social media and through art and all of that. And so that's like one of the things that I do. I'm also like a creative as well. So like I kind of make music on the side and like work on graphic design, and like I'm a really creative person. So like color palettes, merchandise design, like all that stuff, which we have a lot of stuff in the oven right now.
Yeah,
you know,
wow,
cooking up.
But I feel like you guys are so hot in Arizona, like with just your youth, man. Like you guys are like, I be watching the videos and how creative you guys are, and I'm like, these guys are going somewhere.
It's the team, honestly. It's a team that we have. Like everyone's so incredible. Like Grace, Nelson, Faith, Lakeith, like all of them. Like
don't start mentioning them, bro. You might forget some people in there.
There's others that I have not. There's so many that I can't list all of them. So. But it's a great team. I'm just happy to be a part of it. So I'm happy that God's given me the opportunity to be able to impact them. And then also like, I'm also helping with my church as well, Oasis of Life Church. That's where I serve. I'm one of the associate pastors there as well. Yeah. And so it's a really exciting season to see what God is doing, especially with like we have our conference coming up and a lot of things coming up, and it's nerve-wracking. It's like, whoa, okay. But and then also I'm trying to like do a couple like business, adventures and stuff like that. But that's top secret.
Sure, we're not gonna talk about it. We're not gonna break the exclusive news right here.
Yeah.
Well, Benny, let's just get into it, man. Like I said, this one today is a sensitive one, and I kind of want to just introduce on why I thought you might be a good. What is it? I want to say subject. Like what?
Maybe a good person to share.
Yeah, good person to share.
After we were talking about it.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. So, obviously you guys had your youth conference last year.
Last year.
And I went. I was out there, bro. It was powerful. And then like while we were out there, I was doing live stream for you guys, but I was also listening to like what was going on.
I'm glad you were.
Yeah.
Some people don't. Some people go to sleep.
Right.
Leave the camera running. Go to the.
I'm out, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things that I caught, you were in there, bro, and you were really sharing like how you even like how you were. I think you were in the military or something like that. Or,
Yeah.
Army.
I'm in the Army National Guard.
Oh, okay. Dope, man. Yeah. And you just started sharing, bro, about your personal life. And you started touching some sensitive subjects that I was like, man, I gotta listen to this guy. He might have the key to what I need.
Revelation,
yeah, man. So, and you were just sharing about some personal things. I don't know if you wanna talk about those things and you want to bring it up, because I don't usually when I do these like videos, I usually tell them like the topic and like we get into it, but with this one, bro,
they don't know the topic.
Yeah, they don't know the topic. Probably
surprise,
might say
we're talking about drugs. Just kidding.
Or maybe they saw it in the title or something like that. But like I don't want to be the one that breaks it down. Like I want you to do it, and I want you to like we're gonna be having a convo basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, I said I saw that you were the best person for this because you shared. It was more of like a testimony.
Yeah.
And you were really going in on it, bro. And I was like, man, one day I'm gonna have Benny on my show, bro. And I didn't even know when I was gonna start doing this, but from that day, man, I was like, yeah, we're gonna make this happen. I'm glad you're here, bro. Welcome to Sacramento.
Thank you.
Obviously better than Phoenix, but we're not gonna argue about it.
Hey, I don't know about that. Phoenix has the best coffee. I'm gonna say that. That coffee's my thing, bro.
Okay, yeah, man. So welcome, bro. Let's get into it.
For sure.
You start off, bro.
Yeah, I think what you were saying, because we had a discussion about this like a couple weeks ago. And it was something that you shared, and I feel like something a lot of young people don't realize. It's like that a lot of I think young men struggle with this a lot.
Yeah.
And one of the things, like for me, something that has been an ongoing thing that's like hard to deal with, like an active thing, is like pornography and lust, right? And so one of those things like, whoa, like when you hear it, you're like, you automatically get tense and you're like, whoa, I don't. Yeah. Whoa, let me just I'm not talking about it. Like I have no idea what that is. I have no idea what that is. You know what I mean? Like, some people act like
like oh no, it's not me. I don't want to be part of that.
I'm good. I'm straight. Like I don't need that. Like you know what I mean? But I realize like a lot of people, like it really holds people in bondage. You know what I mean? Like it holds people like mindsets in a free fall. So like for my story at least, like the first time I was exposed to pornography was like I was like 15, maybe like 14, and I was like a cross country camp, like high school camp, right? So my parents I grew up as my parents are pastors, for those who don't know. And I grew up just in a church, home, family, hearing the word of God, just praying all the time.
And then quick thing before you even get to that, you were born in the States, right?
I was born in Ohio.
That's dope, man. Because I want to get into it, because some people might be like, "Oh, that's a guy from Kenya. He doesn't know what we're dealing with." You know what I mean? So you want to make it personal to somebody that can relate to your story, bro.
Guys, I was born in Columbus, Ohio. I was born in Columbus, Ohio, and then moved to Arizona when I was 6. And so my dad had a church out here, and so I was growing up in the church. I was like kind of like the unofficial youth leader at the time, and I was like 15, 14, whatever. Even though, like, I probably was not a good example for a lot of kids at that time, honestly. But the first time I was exposed to pornography was when I was like 14 or 15. I was at literally a school camp. It was a cross-country running camp. And so we went, like, to the middle woods. You used to take us for a week. And then some kid, like, we were on the bus driving up there. And some kid, his name... unknown. To be announced later. But he kind of like, he was like, hey, I want to show you something. I want to show you this video. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm like, oh, let's go. Like, so all the boys like corner me in the back of the bus, like in the corner, because they know like I'm probably the only one that has not seen this.
They're about to take your innocence.
Bro. It was crazy. And so like, they're like, yo, Benny, look at this. And I saw this. I literally saw like a video, like the video, like pornography. Like I was exposed to it. I was like, whoa, what is this? This is kind of gross. And all the girls were like, oh my God, don't do that to Benny. Like,
he's so cute. Don't do it.
He's so adorable. Because I was like a little, I hadn't hit puberty yet or anything. So it was like, they were like, oh my God, Benny. And I was just like, what the heck is this? And they're like, all the guys were like, yo, we're putting you on. This is good stuff right here. I was like, what?
That's crazy.
It was crazy. I mean, but when was the first time you were probably exposed to
bro, for sure. I'll share with mine. So I came to the States when I was like, I think 12. This was back in 2009, So came out here, I'm innocent, bro. I don't know nothing. I just want to come. I came here to get treatment at China's hospital for my burns, right? So, and I was supposed to go back after 8 months, but like I didn't know. Like when I came here, I didn't know much about phones. I didn't know much about anything. I didn't know there was a lot more that I got when I got here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And one of those things, sadly, was the introduction to pornography.
Yeah.
So I remember it was my friend, man. We had a desktop computer at my house at the time, and then he came over. And then, like, I don't even know how to use. I don't even know how to browse, bro.
You're like, yo, like, Windows.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like I just remember Google. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. That's how I was, and I think that's how it became a highlight to where I knew as long as I go to Google,
you can find what you need
exactly,
to look for.
So,
okay.
So we go to Google, and then he types like some website, and then like some stuff pop up, bro, and I'm like, bro, like, what is this? At first, I wasn't like super shocked, but I was just like, this stuff like looks interesting because my body like reacted to it. It was like, man, this some like, what is this?
Whoa, why am I being aroused by this?
Yeah.
Like, I'm feeling a feel I've never felt
I feel
before.
good about this stuff. You know what I mean? And then so we spent some like time there because he was showing me like different things. He's like, oh, if you go to like this category, like it has different.
It took me a while to learn about categories.
He's like, if you go to this one, you can find like different types and whatever. And I'm like, dude, that's so dope, man. And mind you, at this time, bro, I'm 12, man. Like I don't know anything, and I'm finding about this stuff right from a friend of mine. And then once he introduced me to that, when he left, bro, I used to just want to go back and like find out, like go back. So I would go back and type the same thing he typed because I didn't know what it was. So I would just type the same website. It's so crazy how like I memorized that joint. And then for the longest time, bro, like I used to just hop on there. And then even when like my parents would go shopping, because before I used to go with them. So when they would go shopping, they'd be like, hey, do you want to go shopping with us? And then I'd be like, nah, because I knew like as soon as
we're busted down. All right,
I'm on the computer just bro, this is some good stuff. You know what I mean? So I did that for like a minute, and I didn't know what this was doing to me, bro. Like I didn't know that this was like a beginning of something that I was gonna have to face, or like an addiction that was gonna like last for a minute, bro. So I would go back and forth, you know, every time whenever they leave or whatever. Something like there was no one in the house. I was always on there, and then this graduated to when I got a phone, bro. And then I realized, oh, you know what? I don't need to watch it where everybody else is watching. I can just go in.
I can go do my own thing.
Exactly,
and
bro.
It's private. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started doing that. I would just watch it. Like I would go on my phone and then like look at that stuff, and it just became go
question.
ahead.
I mean, like, would you say like? 'Cause for me, like, it wasn't like for me after the first time I was exposed to it, maybe like a month and a half later, I can't remember, like I was like 14, 15, maybe like a month and a half later, I started actively watching it and like experimenting, and I think that's when I got like addicted to it, like at the time. Like would you say like at what point did you feel like, whoa, this has a hold on me? You know what I mean? Like
so first of all, like when I never used to act on it, right? Like I just would I would just sit there and watch, and like my mind would be at first. So
there was no like masturbating. It was
not
just
at first, no. And then after a while, that's when I started seeing like what they were doing to people, to like guys, and I was like, "Well, that's cool." Like, what if I do that? Yeah, what if I do that myself? You know what I mean? And it's so funny because nobody said like, "This is like this is how you do this" or whatever. It was just like, dude, if they're just doing that and they're getting like this nice feeling, like, what if I just do that? So one time, bro, I went in, hopped in the shower, bro. And I think I had my phone, bro, and I just carried it with me, and I was like watching that, and I did that, bro. And like some light bulbs like lit up in my mind. It was like pow, 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 fireworks. And I was like, man, this is the thing that I've been missing. You know what I mean?
You're like, whoa.
And at this time, I'm probably like 13, like 14 or something like that, man. Yeah. But I didn't know what it was doing to me, man. And that's why I really wanted to do this podcast.
Of course,
to bring like awareness and like what that does to you, like your mental, and even because like sometimes like later on, as I continue to like get in that, I would feel tired. You know, I'd feel like unmotivated. I feel like I just don't want to hang around with like girls because it's like, bro, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it takes from you.
Yeah,
I think one of the things like this generation doesn't realize, and something I realized kind of late, is that like it produces like this shame that should not actually be there. Yeah. Especially as Christians, as believers. I can only speak from a place, like a context that I'm from. So you might have viewers who are not Christian, but for me, like as a Christian standpoint, when I was watching pornography, I know there was a certain guilt that would like raise up inside of me, like afterwards. You know, it's like, you know, some people would call it post-nut clarity or whatever. Yeah. But like it was a shame that like, whoa, like I know I shouldn't be doing this. Yeah. And it's doing something to me. And then it would even affect how I like interact with like with not just women, you know what I mean, but then also like my friendships, my, you know, my like at work, like it would affect like even how like, you know, certain things that would like my behavior. And I think one of the things that we don't realize is like the effects that pornography has. Because I think a lot of people are like, I can consume this and it won't like affect how I behave, or I can consume it and like whatever. And I think like Ecclesiastes has this like simple like verse. It's a simple verse. It says, when a cloud is full of rain, it rains. You know, when a cloud is full of water, it rains. In the same way, like think about it. Like when you intake something, it has to come out one way or the other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think sometimes like it comes out in different actions, like shame or guilt or something like that.
Yeah.
And or even like in some like microaggressions you might have, like even like how you treat individuals. And so it started getting in the way of like how I like treated my sister and my mom, and then like the girls in my life at the time. And it was like, you know, it affected relationships that I had.
That's so crazy, because I realized like that's when I started having like anger problems. Like my mom would walk in my room, bro, and I'd be like, why are you in my room? Like, get out of my room. Like you're always in my room. You don't even knock and whatever. Yeah. But like, I feel like if I it comes with a lot, bro. I think also maybe spiritually, and like it's like something that doing that action and doing that thing that it comes with, and most of us don't realize, but it affects us, man. Because I was always like mad at my mom, like just entering my room, because I guess you know I would probably think like she probably catch me, because she'd be like you know just enter it without even knocking, be like, man, why you always doing this?
That always had me paranoid.
Just, you know what I mean?
And you can't even
you weren't trying to get caught, bro.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean?
Even when you watch it, you gotta like, you know, lock the door, and then you put your back on the door so like someone comes.
Bro, and it's so bad because
God
like nobody tells you that it's bad.
Yeah.
But like the fact that you're closing the door, the fact that you're trying to hide, you know, your conscience knows like what I'm doing is bad. Like I'm not supposed to be doing this, and that's how bad that addiction is, because it's like it comes with those things. Like you start getting into things like, you know, probably go like in the bathroom and like lock yourself, and then make sure like it's super locked, because like nobody's gonna open it. But it's like, and if even it was something good, like you wouldn't need to do all that stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And even when you go out in public, you're like, check your browser, make sure, okay, I don't want to accidentally bring
bro.
it up. Yeah, I remember being in high school, and like, bro, it was so embarrassing. Like I would like be on my phone, and then I would go to my website browser, and then like one of my friends would be here, they're like, yo, Benny, what's that on your phone? And it would be like the session that I just, you know, it was like so embarrassing, and it was like this shame that like took over, and it's like I don't want to feel it, I don't want to experience this like that, you know what I mean? I think the bigger question is like, sometimes like no one ever talked to me about it. Yeah, like no one ever talked to me like, hey, this is not like this affects you negatively. Even outside of a Christian context. Like, yes, like the Bible says that it's a sin, you know. Maybe not explicitly, whatever, but like just like it is not good for you. Yeah, like and in terms of like it affects your mindset, like your productivity. A lot, bro.
A lot, man.
It affected my like you do it, and it makes you like want to just relax. Like there's certain chemicals that are released, like dopamine, that like make it feel like, okay, you've achieved something for the day. I think it's like dopamine, a certain level of dopamine will be released. Yeah, and it makes you feel like, okay, I've achieved something for today. I've worked hard, and now I've had my dopamine fix. And so now you kind of like take the rest of the day to like relax or whatever. You chill out, thinking you've accomplished something, but like you just like, you know.
Yeah, bro. And the worst thing is like, I don't know if you had this, and I've talked to a lot of like young people struggle with this. And sometimes like when you're done doing the action of like masturbating, bro, like you feel bad, bro. Like you have this like, oh my God, like bro, what have I done? Like I just feel useless. Like that's what I used to feel like. You know what I mean? For like a long time. And bro, that stuff really gets to you, man, because you like, but then you forget that. Like there's a period where you forget, like you sleep or do what other stuff, and then you forget. Then the next day you're like, bro, I want to have that same feeling that I got yesterday. It was so cool.
Because it's like it's a crazy cycle. It's like you do it to feel good, right? Then you feel good. Then you get off the high, and you feel terrible and guilty from doing it, and you're like, let me feel good again.
And that's why it's an addiction, bro.
Because it loops you back over and over again.
Exactly.
And then one of the ways that I got free, because I was addicted to it for like 6 years. Like, like from the time I was 14 until like literally like maybe like 20. Like so like 4 years ago, I kind of like was like, all right, I'm kind of like I'm done. I really cried. I just shared it. Like I had this whole thing with my dad, but the idea was like I think it's like you have to be able to share with people. You know what I mean? Like I think that's one of the things that we underestimate, like being able to share with people, and not just anyone. Like I wouldn't like in James. I keep bringing up Bible because that's my heart. That's where I'm. You know, that's my upbringing. So James chapter 5 says, confess your sins with one another. That way you guys can pray for one another and be healed, right? Yeah. And the idea with like confessing is just like sharing with someone that is spiritually mature, right? And then that is able to give you like direction and guidance, and someone that can hold you accountable. Yeah. So the time when I was like 14. I was a youth leader. Yeah. Like, I don't think I was a real youth, but I started off like in that training. Like, you know, I can see how God was trying to train me in that season. And it was like, I had no one that was holding me accountable. I had no one that was like, I was sharing my, you know, like, hey, this is what I'm struggling with. Yeah. Hey, I didn't have a mentor at the time. Like, the only person that I knew was like my dad. Yeah. I didn't even trust my dad at that point. Yeah,
but you weren't your dad, bro. Like, Benny, that's
Benny, what's wrong?
Why? This has never been in our family. Why are you starting?
Like, you'd be shocked. You'd be like, what? Like, but I didn't feel comfortable because it's like my dad. I don't
bro. I hear you, bro. Yeah.
And like I only saw at the time, like 14. You only see your dad as your dad at the time. Yeah. Like, but so like I didn't have anyone to hold to share with, and I was so nervous. And so I'd go to like church. I'd go to these youth ministries. I'd go to these camps. I'd go to like conferences and stuff like that. I'd experience God. I love God. I know I love God because I want to be a Christian. I connect with what the Word of God is saying. But then also at the same time, like like this thing, I know it's a sin. People talk about it in the church. Yeah. Barely. Like they just say, hey, this is bad, but they don't want to walk you through it. Yeah. And so I was like, I don't know how to go through this. And I think one of the things that like set me free the most, I was at this camp in like 2017, 2016. But it stayed in my mind until like I actually was like, all right, I'm done with this. You know, remember Pastor Chad? He came to our conference So he used to have these like camps, like Camp Elevate or whatever, every summer. And so the idea was that he would have these breakout sessions, and then in the breakout sessions, it was just guys, it was just men. And that was the first time I was like, okay, we got brothers in here. Like I got brothers. Yeah. I'm with a brotherhood, and they shared openly, like, yo, they talked about pornography. Yeah. And I was like, ooh, what's going on? But they were sharing so openly, and they were like, it made me like, wow, like there was no shame. It was like, hey, like. It's something I've dealt with or I'm struggling with and I'm trying to overcome. Yeah. And I was like, whoa, I like how open they are. Like, it's not like a guilt thing. Yeah. Like, because usually when you hear like anything sexual in the church, it's like, oh, no, be ashamed.
It's a sin. Don't do it. Don't indulge in that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, that was like the first time I opened my eyes to where like, okay, I can be open with certain people, and they could be able to share with me. I mean, maybe like, let me ask you, like, what would you say like was an eye opener for you that was like, hey, let me try and like this is like how that helps you kind of like course correct, or helps you like Yeah. What was one thing?
For me, I feel like the eye opener. Well, I had a few of them, and every time I tried, like I failed. You know what I mean? One of them was like one time, bro. I was watching that stuff on desktop computer, the same one, like the ones that they're always like in the same place, like you can't move those. It's not like a laptop, right? It's so I go over there, bro, type the same thing, like bro, I used to type the same thing like my friend taught me, but then later on I graduated where I found like new ones, and I was like, oh, these are better, bro. I should put him on these, bro. You know what I mean?
That's crazy. Yeah, that's how it works.
When I'm on there, bro, like my mom comes back and like in the back of me, bro, and she's just staring there, right? And I see her coming, and bro, guess what I do? I hit the monitor, bro. So before I did that, I actually switched. I switched the tabs because bro, when you start, it's like you don't know stuff, but you kind of just graduate, yeah. So I found out like you can have different tabs. Like I could have like other stuff right there, and then have that. So if somebody comes, just close that tab.
Oh my!
I didn't even know about that yet, bro. Yeah, see, you graduate, bro.
You graduate.
So I found out that I can have a different tab on there and then have that tab for that. So if somebody comes, like I just close that one and then I act busy like on the other one, right? Yeah. But I feel like we're giving out secrets, but it's good for parents to know so that if they see that with
what your kids are doing, we're putting y'all on, all right?
So if they see their kids doing this, like they can help them out, bro, because it does affect you like later on in life. So anyway, turn on the computer, have the different tabs open. Yeah. My mom comes, bro. I'm like, oh shoot, switch the tab, and then I close the monitor, right? And then she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, nothing. I was just looking at like John Cena or something like that. It was like I remember that joint because I never forgot that and how bad I felt about that situation. Yeah. So I was like, bro, I was just looking at John Cena. Back then, WWE was like the thing, right? So she's like, oh, let me see it again. What is that? And I was like, and I clicked it, and then I turned it on, and I was like, oh, thank God. Hopefully, like when I open it, like it's just on there. Luckily, it was, bro. But I was like, oh, I was just gonna turn off the computer anyway because it was like freezing or whatever. And then, bro, when I hit that, because on the computer you can't turn off the monitor is different than like where you turn off the computer at. So I hit that like close button, bro. And before it closed, you know how it asks you like, do you want to close these tabs or whatever? Back then it didn't. It just showed me like the different tabs I had open. And she was like, what is this? What is this you're looking at? Go outside. And I was like, bro.
She said you outside?
Yeah. Nah, I don't even know if she sent me or I just felt guilty and like went away. Like, I was like, I got caught, man. And I just stayed there until I like could just close the whole monitor and left, bro.
Wow.
And then at time I felt so bad, man. She even like. At the time, like, my dad wasn't here, like, he was in Kenya. So she called him, bro, and, like, he gave me, like, this talk, and, like, we all, and, you know, with these talks, bro, like, I just felt like, oh, I'm the worst guy in the world, man. Like, what am I doing? And I just felt bad. So, but that time is when I was like, I need to stop this. Like, man, like, I already feel bad. Like, this feeling, I just can't. Like, it was worse than, like, the good feeling that I was getting from that. Yeah. And then I think after a while, bro, I forgot about that, like, that thing. And I got back into it again. Yeah, I was like, bro, let's get into this again. And then I just became clever. And, like, this time I would, like, delete history and all that stuff. Like, make sure, like, there's nothing on there. And then, you know, later on, found out about, like, private. And it was like, oh, private doesn't have history. Like, it doesn't matter what you do, you know?
Incognito.
Yeah, but so I guess the big eye-opener to answer your question was, like, when I realized, like, bro, I wasn't being, like, I like working. I like being productive, like, all the time. Like, when I feel like I'm not working, I always feel like, bro, I'm just wasting time, right? And it's just a thing of me, yeah. But so I would feel tired after doing these acts, right? And it would make me unmotivated. Lazy. I don't want to feel. I don't want to do anything. And that's when I was like, bro, if I don't, like, get in front of this thing, I'm probably not going to be where I want. Like, I'm going to be talking about my goals, but I can't do them because as soon as I do that, I'm like, forget those goals. Yeah, man. Like, I don't want to do that.
It makes you complacent. You know, like, that's the thing. I think I said someone said, like, if you, I think it was an Instagram post or something. It's like, you give a guy, like, good food, somewhere to play, somewhere to stay, and, like, cheap sex or whatever, or, like, just masturbation or whatever, then he'll be content. Like, he'll be like, you know, he'll kill his dreams that way. And it's like, it makes you complacent to the effect of, like, where sometimes, like, it changes your thought process. Like, okay, I'm okay with this. I'd rather take less than, you know, it's too much. It's too much to go do that. I'm okay with it. And it rewires your brain to think, like, I'm okay with less. Or, you know, I'm humble. No, you're lazy. And you don't want to work hard. Like, you know?
And another thing I think I used to do is I would make excuse for this thing. I'd be like, well, I don't do it, like, every day. Like, I can stop when I want. You know what I mean? Like, easy. Like, it's just been like 3 days. It's not an addiction, bro. If I can do it every other 3 days, like, it's fine. You know what I mean?
Oh, once a week?
Yeah, bro. That's pretty good. That's not an addiction. Addiction is something you do every hour, every minute, or whatever. You know what I mean? So, and that's something that's when I realized, well, it's one of the parts that when I realized, I was like, man, like, if I continue just doing this, I'm becoming lazy. I don't want to do anything. I'm yelling at my mom from just coming into the room. I'm not even, like, as social as I used to be because there's one part that I think that it did help me with. The fact that, like, once you do that act, like, whenever, like, I saw girls, like, or they try to, like, talk to me, like, I never felt anything because it's like, I already, like, did the act, like, I'm good, like, so I never really, like, was having sex, like, because there are some people that I know are, like, you know, having sex, like, in high school, like,
it made me back a fiend, to back, brother.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I didn't because, like, that helped me, like, just not, like, if why would I do that when I could just do that to myself and, like, I'll be good, bro.
It's crazy because even, like, and I think it just has a different effect on different people, right? Like, for me, it just made me more aware of the sexual appetite that I had. So, so when I was exposed to it, I was like, dang, I need this thing in real life, man. I was just like, so for me, I ended up losing my virginity, like, right when I turned 18. So throughout high school, I was just watching pornography from sophomore year, and then right when I turned 18, I was like, and I went to college. I went to freshman year. You know, you're a freshman. You got a dorm. Mom and dad are away. You know, I was like, let's go. Right. And I was wild. I was just wilding too much. You know what I mean? And it was just like it grew. Like, it made the appetite. So I think one thing that I realized is, like, it was the more I fed into it, the more it was growing. You know, like, the more I was like, because, like, that's, like, what you feed will grow.
Yeah, you know that's what I mean?
True. Like, whatever you water, whatever you give more attention to is gonna grow. And so what I realized is, like, I was putting a lot of attention. I was sacrificing for that a lot. It started going to the point where it's like, I was willing to pay for content now, and it started affecting my finance. You know what I mean? Like, it's something wild.
That, like, premium content.
Yeah, that premium content, that premium Snapchat. You know? And so, like, it was crazy at the time because it was like, I'm spending this money and I'm willing to sacrifice for it, and it became, like, a real priority and a really, like, heavy burden on my heart. Yeah. Cause, like, and it made me, like, it even pushed me out. Like, I felt like it pushed me out of church. Like, I loved I don't know. I didn't love it so much. I didn't want to be judged or condemned by the church because of, like, this. I felt too shamed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like I just would rather not be in a space like that. And so I removed I kind of pulled away from the church, my dad's church at the time.
Yeah.
And I just kind of like went away to Flagstaff for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
And I kind of just was like, I like the freedom of being able to choose, like, you know, not feeling bad. Like I don't want to be held accountable. I just want to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And I realized like, I remember one time I was talking to like, I can't remember who I was talking to. I think it was my dad.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad was putting me on. He was like, yo, like, so you're sacrificing for this. Like, you know, he wasn't talking about that explicitly. We were talking about like alcohol, but like it kind of tied into like what, you know, because I was really drunk. I was crazy. I was a monster. Yeah. But he was kind of talking to me like, yo, what you sacrifice for is like actually what you worship, you know? And so like at the time, like, you know, I think at the time he's talking about alcohol, I'm thinking pornography. Yeah. You know, and I was like, dang, I'm really sacrificing for this thing, you know, putting my money towards it. Like, I was, like, it got to a point where I was spending, like, $100 a month.
Damn, bro.
Like, I was a fiend, bro. Wow. It was bad.
Like, mine wasn't, like, I never spent $1, bro. I was like,
free. Forget these people.
Free, bro.
I'm going to get it for free. Yeah. No. I mean, like, and I think, like, it's, like, that was a real eye-opener. So, like, when I became serious, like, okay, so, like, let me give context now. Like, so then around, like, 2018, I recommitted my life to Christ. Beginning of 2018, like January 2018, and I was like feeling this burden for young people. Like I've always had that. Like, you know, even when I was away in Flagstaff, I had this burden for young people. I just didn't know how to reach them. Yeah. I didn't know the capacity. Yeah. And so when I recommitted my life to Christ, I was like, okay, I still struggle with this thing. Yeah. And I don't know if I'm ready to, like, you know. I was talking to my dad. I was like, hey, Dad, I feel like. This is before I shared with him like the pornography. I was like, hey, Dad, so I feel like this thing on my heart to start for young people. But I feel like I'm not ready. I feel like I still got things I'm dealing with or whatever. Yeah. But I was just like, look, you don't start ready. You just, you know, you get ready as you're doing it.
Yeah. And I think that's a lot of us don't understand that. Like, we always feel like, oh, man, I struggle with like alcohol addiction, pornography, this and that. Like, I'm not good enough to take that position. You know, and I think that's just a lie from, I don't want to say like whatever, the devil, whatever, but like that's a lie that you tell yourself, because like if you never start, like you probably never become good. That's the same thing with this podcast. Like I don't like do this on a regular, like I'm behind the camera, but you know what I mean? But it's like by just doing this, like I'll be great. I'll become better like that. You know what I mean?
It's like if you never start, like I think it's like this, if not now, when? Yeah. And if not you, then who? Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, you are your first advocate, honestly. Bro. Like, you have to make the like every individual has to make the decision in their heart. Like, like I'm done with this, and I'm gonna, like, you know, I'm gonna stop, like, take like with this bad habit. Yeah. And for like in 2018, I think like around like that summer, going into after our first conference, I shared with like some individuals, like close people near me, and I was like, hey, this is something I'm struggling with. Yeah. And it's like I'm not the best person. Like, I feel like I'm not worthy to lead as a youth leader. Crazy, like, man. You know, like it felt like, because I felt like I had to share this and be open about it. Because I can't be like, I felt bad, like, because it was like I started youth ministry, you know, and I'm leading. Yeah. Like, for real. Yeah. Like, I started AZ Youth while still struggling in this thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it was like, I feel like some people are like, what? You're right. Like, no, it's like, you know, like my heart for God was there, but like, you know, sin can still tempt you. Yeah. You know? Like, David walked into his calling as a king and was still tempted by Bathsheba. Yeah. You know what I mean? And bro,
just before you continue, like, I feel like that's the biggest reason on why I wanted you to come on here, because I realized, like, you know, you got something going on in Arizona with the youth, bro. Like, I see that as something big, and it's only gonna get bigger, and people are gonna be like, you know, that's Benny, that's our pastor or whatever. Like, they're gonna know you from different. Because I've had a convo with, like, I think a pastor from I don't know if it was like Vegas, but they were like talking about Arizona, and they're like, youth, man, they're coming up, and I was like, but that's Benny, you feel me? Yeah. And I feel like when people see you talk about this as somebody like in a position, it helps them like know, like, oh, it's not just me that's dealing with that. Like, it's normal. Like, people go through that, but then they can try to find ways to kind of like just go about how to fix that problem. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if you see somebody that's doing something and you're like, oh, that guy was doing that, and I'm like, barely, like, I'm thinking, you know what I'm guilty. Saying? Yeah, bro, you feel me? Yeah. And I'm sure even for me, like, people are gonna be shocked, like, well, Tony was doing that, man. It's probably, like, probably gonna become a meme or something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, man.
And I think that's crazy, like, because it's like sometimes we have this perception, like, okay, only like church people like struggle, you know,
outside of
only like unsuccessful people like struggle with this. Like, no, there's like some successful people in the world that you'd be surprised. Like, wow, like I think Pastor Michael Todd from Transformation Church, he is open about how he struggled with pornography, like growing, you know what I mean? And I think like when you hear like when I looked at him, I was like, dang, Michael Todd?
Yeah,
like I was in 2018, like when I seen him coming up and he was talking about it, I was like, and he was like, he's a ministry model, a person that I see him like, dang, I really want to be like that guy. And just seeing how he was like, I struggled with pornography and my wife helped me through it and we got through it.
Some people struggle with it, like even in marriage, man. That's why I'm saying like if you can find help now before you get there, it's way better because man, I've heard those stories where people even I know that are married, they're like, yeah, man, it did affect. It took a toll, and I'm like, I don't want to get there, so that's why I tried.
And I think one of the first ways we can to do that is like, I think the biggest thing is like just communicating that you are struggling with. I think realizing that you have a problem.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times people, like for me, I was like, oh, you know, like kind of what you were saying, like, I'm only doing it once a week. I can quit when I want.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like, no, you have to literally be like, yo, this is actually something I'm struggling with.
Yeah.
I struggle letting go of it. I prioritize it and actually sacrifice some things for it. You know what I mean? I feed into it a lot more than my other responsibilities.
Yeah.
You have to like identify the problem because before you can solve a problem, you have to know there is one.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And so I think that's the first step, right? I think the second thing also is being able to communicate that to somebody. So not only have you identified it within yourself, but now you have to be able to communicate to someone. I wish I had someone my age, like at least younger, like, cause, like sharing with my dad was not easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I wish like if I was like 14, 15, 16, whatever, a youth or a young adult in a youth ministry or whatever, in that context, I wish I had someone that was like my age, being able to like, I can go to and share to. That was not my dad at the time, you know?
Bro, when you're at that, because on this podcast, we're all about investing in the youth. Yeah. You mind sharing like your social media? If anybody feels like they want to share with you and like talk to Benny, like they might want to, you know, I feel like I can identify with this guy or whatever. Do you want to like put yourself?
Of course. My social media. Okay. Instagram is mac.h and then 2 underscores. Right.
I'll put it on there.
Yeah. mac.h. 2 underscores.
Yeah, and are you cool with that? Like if somebody hits you up, and
like feel free. Like honestly, like I love the vision of this. Like it's like having a space for young people to come and have conversations to be able to help and build one another. And if any of you guys are struggling, I'm willing. Like I'm solely like I'm open to help and have conversations and point you guys in the right directions.
And we're not gonna judge. It's a feel safe space. Like we're not gonna hit you up and be like,
don't judge. I won't be judgeful. Like you know, I'm a super open guy. Like we have these conversations even back home. Like so like but. I think that's one thing, like just being able to communicate with other people that you're struggling with something. And I kind of go back to James chapter 5 when it says like confess your sins, right, with one another. Like I think Paul's not just, James. James is not saying, the Apostle James, all right? He's not saying like just share with anyone freely, but he's saying like share with someone that like is mature and able to withstand this weight. You know what I mean? Someone that you know, like you don't want to share your addiction with someone that is also struggling with addiction, you know?
Yeah, or somebody that's gonna like put you down, like you know what I mean. You might be going like, I'm coming to share, like, hey man, this is what I'm going
through. And they're gonna laugh at you.
Yeah, but like, bro, what the heck? That's so childish. Bro, like, stop doing that stuff. You know? And then you feel bad. Like I would never share.
Like I'm never sharing with no one again. It's like find mature people that you know you can share with. And so like I just keep kind of going back to the church context. Like find a youth pastor, find a pastor, or find a mentor or someone in your life that you can share with, or like even brothers that you're around, like that you can share with openly. About like your struggles. You know what I mean? I think that's the number one thing. Like just being able to communicate, because once you share it outwardly. It's like now, like especially in a Christian context, it's like what we believe is like you're sharing it with like another believer, and now you're praying for it. And now it's like you're revealing it to the body of Christ. You're bringing it to the body of Christ, and now as a people, we can now pray about this and help like encourage each other and hold each other accountable. You know what I mean? And there's something special about like God will only treat what you will allow Him to treat. You know what I mean? That's like deep. if you go to the doctor. You know what I mean? Like if I have a cut, he's not gonna treat it unless you let him know like this is a problem for me. I need it. And so the same is like with God. It's like we have to let Him know like, God, I'm struggling with this. I'm bringing it before you through other believers and all of that. And then like literally it's from that it's like, okay, now we can start treating it and applying and like figuring out like different ways that work for us. And like, so I think that's one way. So always being open, sharing, communicating with someone, and having that accountability, I think is huge. And then also like discipline. Like I think the third thing I'd say is like discipline. So I know that sounds like, discipline. Like, that sounds like so easy to say. But I think like I had to intentionally put things in the way of making sure I did not watch pornography, like, or things that would even tempt me slightly.
Yeah.
So there was like an entire year and a half where like I did not watch Netflix.
Yeah.
Because like there were certain things on Netflix that would like, you know.
No, bro, I think that's a good thing that you're talking about that, because we have even shows that like sometimes like they like I was watching Power. I don't know if you know Power, bro.
I haven't watched.
Bro, Power, man. If anyone knows that show, is just crazy. Every scene, bro, they got that
just nudity, bro. Breast everywhere.
It's like it's a good show, but they got that stuff, and that stuff starts to get you hooked back on again. You know. And I realized, man, like you're right. You do have to get these things that are going to get in your way of your healing process out of the way, man.
And it's kind of like what Jesus said, like, because Jesus was like, "Look, if your right hand is causing you to sin, cut it off." Like, and so for me, if it was like Netflix is causing me to like feel these temptations, I was like, "All right, I'm gonna stop watching Netflix." It sucked because everyone's talking about the new shows.
Yeah.
And hey,
but you gotta do what you gotta do. I gotta do what I gotta do. Be better too, yeah.
And then even like I had to delete Twitter. Like Twitter was so crazy, man. Yeah. Twitter, I was hooked on Twitter. Like I just love the commentary on Twitter. And even now, like I'm not fully back. Like I now that like I'm kind of like, you know, a little bit more mature and like I'm a little bit more like I can combat that stuff a little bit better. Yeah. I'm able to like download it and then watch Twitter, you know, go on Twitter a little bit and like, you know, see, you know, how people are commenting about certain, like, you know, current events. Yeah. But I had to delete Twitter, and then there were seasons where I had to like delete Instagram on and off. Like, so it might be situational based. Like, we're like, today I'm feeling a little weak. You know what I mean? Like, all right, I'm gonna delete Instagram. Yeah. You know, or, you know, only for a day, and then, okay, I'll download it tomorrow. And then tomorrow I find myself like in a better footing. You know, like, you know, sometimes some days you just wake up and you find yourself, like,
it's just not the day.
It's not the day. And so I think like I had to be willing and okay to like remove some of the obstacles in my way that were causing me to stumble, you know, that were being stumbling blocks. And I think some people are just not willing to do that. But I think like being able to like properly identify, because I was able to identify what were my stumbling blocks and my triggers through the people I was having conversations with. And they're like, okay, so like, you know, what are you doing right before you watch pornography? Like those are questions that like, imagine that. Like, what are you doing right before you? And I was like, well, I was watching Netflix. And they're like, okay, what time was it? Oh, it was like 1 a.m. Okay, like,
right.
Who
you
do
by
you have
yourself,
to blame?
bro? Like,
you know? And it's like, how often does that happen? Well, actually, a lot. Like, you know, you start thinking, you're like, dang, okay. So it's like, I think like being aware of like what's triggering me, because like I think that's one thing that kills is like I think the Bible says without knowledge my people perish for lack of knowledge. You know what I mean? It's like if you don't have the knowledge to understand that like, yo, you have triggers, you don't even know yourself to like what is triggering my certain behaviors and stuff like that, you're gonna stumble, you're gonna keep falling and be like upset about the situation. So for me that was another obstacle. And then I think also sorry, I don't mean to like talk so long.
Nah, bro, it's so good, man. Like I'm learning stuff.
And another thing I feel like I believe in Proverbs, it says like bad company corrupts. Bad company corrupts good character. Yeah. And I think vice versa, right? I think like the that rule applies kind of like vice versa, right? That verse is like good company will corrupt bad character. And so in a sense, like I was surrounding myself with really godly influences. Like from like 2019 through like literally last year. Like, you know what I mean? It's like I was surrounding myself with, because I wanted to surround myself with like people like, okay, like I want to surround myself with people who are not struggling with pornography, or like if they are, they have accountability.
You know what I
mean?
They
They're
do something about it.
And they do, And so like I just surround myself with like the content I'm consuming. So not only am I cutting off content, I'm also going to introduce content that was like building me up. So I was watching like not even just like obviously like the spiritual stuff, like hearing sermons and worship music and prayer, but also I'm watching like videos on like, yo, how to be productive. You know what I mean? Like these are like good things.
Yeah, so you're countering.
Like how to be more disciplined, how to wake up early in the morning, how to like, you know what I mean? How to like chase my dreams. And I think like when we consume that type of content, it now starts to become a part of your character. So instead of consuming Netflix and Twitter and Instagram and you know Pornhub and all these other things, like now I'm consuming like sermons and the Word of God and reading the Bible and like praying and surrounding myself with godly influences that were, you know, corrupting my bad character, making me like, you know, a better person, more righteous, and it was helping me like in that walk of faith. You know what I mean? And not like I have it all figured out, but these are things that I kind of go back to when I start to feel these certain emotions of lust start to creep up. You know what I mean? I think that's what some young people like, they don't have these practical steps to help them. And I think that's what helped me, and just being really open. Like, and just to share kind of just really frankly, like the last time I really watched pornography was like 2020. Like 2 years ago, maybe like I think like right before, I think like March April 2020. Like,
and that's COVID. You know?
Yeah, it was COVID. I was like, yo, like it was tough. It was like ministry was going. I was like, yo, what is going on? You know, it was like one of the tough things. And I think it kind of do that. It's like, because at that time, I felt like the source of what I was doing was like everything was coming apart, everything was falling down. And my first response at the time was like not really prayer. It was like, let me turn to this thing that I know can bring this satisfaction. Yeah. And what I realized was that like at the time was like, what was the reason, my motivation behind what I was doing. Yeah. You know what I mean? What was the motivation? And I think a lot of times, I think just finding that motivation, like finding like just being able to identify what is your motivation for doing certain things. But yeah, what about you? What are some things that you say? Like, yeah.
One of the things you talked about, like after point 3, like alongside discipline, was like accountability. And I feel like that's major key, bro. That's key. Like if I could put keys in like emojis here, like that's what it is. Because I realized, well, I keep saying I realized, but anyway, that's what helped me overcome that. Like that's what helped me become better. Because I remember, you know, Discord, right? Like I was on Discord earlier, like the beginning of this year, and like because I wasn't. So sometimes I would go like days or weeks or months like without doing that, and then I would fall, and it would like almost wipe out like my whole like, bro, I've been trying, bro, like why, you know? So I went on Discord, and there's this like Christian chat. I had never like I joined it, but I never like hit them up. I used to just whenever the posts came up, like I would just swipe up and be like, man, I'm cool. And then one time I was like, you know what, man, if I don't like get a hold of like what's getting a hold of me, this I'm gonna like it's gonna cost me long term. So I went on there and I like wrote this long paragraph. I was like, hey guys, I hope you guys are good. You know, man, like I've been going through this thing. You know, I've been trying to, you know, just pray for me. I don't know how to go about it. If you have any suggestions, let me know. Or if I can get like an accountability partner, like that'd be nice. Like, and then I replied and I sent it, and like nobody hit me up after that. They were like, oh, we'll pray for you or whatever. Stay strong, whatever. And then after 2 days, somebody actually hit me up. And thank God, I think God connected him into where I saw it, because I wasn't getting the notification because there's so many people in that. It's like thousands of people. Yeah. So they hit me up and they were like, hey, I don't know if anybody hit you up about this or if you found an accountability partner. And I was like, nah, man. And it's like, do you want to be accountability partners? And I was like, yeah. So and then we moved on to like the private chat. And then he was sharing, like it was a guy, never met the guy, don't know how he looks. Wow. But he was in college, you know what I mean? So, and we didn't want to like talk too much about our personal lives. We're here to kind of help each other like go through this thing. Yeah. And then I came up with this like 40-day thing. I was like, hey, let's try 40 days and see how they go. And we'll check in every time. And if you want, like you're about to watch this stuff, like call me or text me or something. Like we never got on the phone, but just hit me up and then we can go about it. And sometimes he would do that and I would do the same thing. I'm like, bro, today I'm just feeling weak. He's like, bro, just stay strong. He would send me like scripture and I would do the same thing, man. And it's like, no cap. That like helped me know that you could overcome this thing. Like if you try it and have an accountability partner, it does help you like long term. Because it was like, you know, after there was a time, bro, we were in like 3 weeks and he was like, bro, I feel like I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I'm like, yeah, me too. I'm not gonna lie to you. But like the fact that we had each other made it easier for us, because like we were walking this walk together and we both knew like we were both struggling with the same thing. And bro, that's how I can say like I was able to beat that, man. And I pray that it just continues like that, because like you just have to be constantly, you know, trying to be better every time. You can't just stop and be like, oh, I think I've had enough training.
Okay, I got it to like once every other week. No, it's like you go for it, all of it. You know, because even if it's in your life a little bit, it has the potential to like
come back up again and start. And especially, bro, I be getting scared, and because like right now I'm in a relationship and I'm like, I don't want that thing to go into marriage. And if I don't fix it now before marriage, like it's like it's not gonna get better. Oh, now I'm married. It's like, oh, it should be better. No. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that young people, I think for me, that's what I realized. I think just being able to share it with someone. The Bible says that they overcame the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and the words of their testimony, right? There has to be testimony, just simply like, you know, your experience on how you've overcome. And I think sometimes being able to hear how someone has, or how someone is overcoming, you know, their addiction to pornography or whatever it may be. Just the fact that they're able to testify about it and share that with others. Yeah. Like, you're like, whoa, okay. If that can happen for them, it can happen for me.
Exactly, bro.
You know what I mean? And this person was over there doing all this. You know what I mean? Yeah. I would say like, for me, like I can see even like just in my life, like, over the past 4 years, I can see like when I fully put that, when I fully like kind of put pornography out of my life.
Yeah.
And like I can kind of see like where like God just started like moving now. Like, you know what I mean? Because we were just like young people just trying to do something, you know, and I felt like so frustrated, you know, about how we were doing things.
Yeah.
And then once I was like, let me work on myself first. And as I worked on myself, the things around me started prospering. And I think like, you know, if you feel like you're in a situation where like you feel like, you know, for some of the people out there, it's like if you feel like you're in a situation where like you're frustrated with the situation you're around, or like other people you're with, and you blaming the environment. I would say change yourself. You know, like like work really, on work on the addiction. You know, connect with other people. Like find people, connect with them, share with them. You know what I mean? And this is like one of the great forums that you have. You know, people can be in the comments sharing like
anonymous. Like we probably, you know, get on like hit me up on Instagram and get a Discord going, and you don't have to use your names. Like you can be from wherever state, and then we can like see how we could help each other, man. What would you say to somebody who's like been trying to quit, bro? Like they just keep trying, and it's like, man, it's like number 14 failure. You know what I mean? So it's like, what would you say to them? Like,
I would say, don't. I know it sounds corny. Don't give up. Like I would say, be as persistent as you can.
Try number 15. Yeah,
15, 16, 17. I think because even from I can only point to myself, right? Like for me, it's like there was those instances where like, okay, I'd be good for 2 months. I fell off. Like even from like the span of like 2018 to 2020, there were times where like, okay, I'd be good for like a couple months. And like, I'm good, and then like fell back in. You know, and then I'm like, and then I was like, maybe I should just live with this thing.
Yeah,
you know, like, you know,
bro, I've been there too, man. I'm like, you know what? It seems like it's just never gonna stop.
You know, maybe I was like, I need to, you know, when I get married, maybe this
it's gonna change, bro. I used to tell myself that, or maybe if I get a girlfriend, like it's gonna change, bro.
Yeah,
like, nah.
No, bro, it does not. Actually, the girlfriend I had at the time made it worse, man. Like, it was, and so she was feeding into the desire. But what I would say is like, don't give up. I would say like, I think a lot of times we think like, oh, you know, I resigned, like this thing has a hold over my life. I just can't kick it or whatever. Like I think treat it with the same intensity you would on day 175 compared to day one. The same intensity that you have on day one, have that on days 80, day 102, day, you know, 306, you know, like keep that same intensity. And it's hard, you know, to do that, but that's why you come around brothers. And even just being able to like, I think just having people to share with, like people like I can hold accountable. Like, I'm like, I don't want to say a name, but I met one of my current friends like in 2019. I met him, and you know we were able to connect. At the end of 2019, we were able to share. And I was like, whoa, you know, and then like just having brothers around you. I think just surrounding yourself. Do not give up on surrounding yourself with people that can hold you accountable. Do not give up on finding out what your triggers are and kicking them out, you know, like, or, you know, building a morning routine around that. Like, you know, like for me, like, do not give up on yourself, you know?
Yeah. So, and definitely come in terms with yourself that you do have an addiction. Yeah. And that you need help. Yeah. And you can't help yourself. So you have to kind of outsource and
you have to outsource. Because the longer you keep it, like because your feelings are your greatest deception. Yeah. Like your feelings will deceive you. So if it's only you that knows the secret, you're just gonna you're gonna reason with yourself with your emotions. Like, oh, I wanted to today, but like I had a busy day, and so I woke up this morning and I just felt like, you know, masturbating. Yeah. You know, like you'll reason with yourself you'll reason yourself outside of your conviction. Yeah. You know? And I think if you have others that are around you, surrounding with you, walking with you, that's where it becomes now like, what's the word? Sorry, my English is not the best.
Nah, you're good, bro.
That's where it becomes like, now it's like, dang, okay, there's other people who are holding me accountable. Now it's like, it's bigger than me. Now they're going to call it out of me. So sometimes there would be times where like I'd be sitting somewhere with the people that were holding me accountable, my accountability partners. And I would know I fell that week. I didn't want to bring it up. I'd just be trying to like, you know, play FIFA or something, trying to like, you know, and then they'd be like, hey, so how was this week? Did you watch any pornography? Yeah.
Oh man, I love that, bro.
I didn't want to talk about that.
I love that, bro. Cause they're forcing you to address it. Like you got, oh yeah, man, like I did fall. And then they give you this talk, bro. Sometimes those talks, man, they go a long way. Cause then every time I think about that stuff, I be like, oh, somebody talked to me about this, and they told me this story. So I'm like, nah, I don't even want to do with that. I don't want to deal with.
No, I think sometimes they talk about it because they bring it up because like you're just gonna keep it quiet.
And they know that you need help, so they have to bring it up. They have to talk about it, you know.
And I know it sounds bad, but like sometimes the feeling of the heat,
the
heat of like being and then being like, dang, I failed, like
that
feeling was like a motivation for me. It's like, dang, I need to grow into, and the mentors in my life at the time were like, yo, in order for you to grow into everything that God has called you to be, you have to not be a slave to it. Like, you know, you have to like, whatever chains are holding you back, like, like this is a season, like, yo, break them off. And so I love I like how God moves in a season, because there was a season where God was like preparing me for even now, like, you know, I'm in a season where now like God's starting to like reveal, you know, I'm starting to be able to like exposure to like different ministries and different people. Like, thank you for inviting me here. Like, I think that it's like an answer prayer. And then even like in a couple of weeks, I'm going to a youth conference to speak. Like, I just see how God is moving in my life. Yeah. And like God wants to prepare people first before he uses them.
And I think one thing I just want to finish off with, because we're kind of finishing up. No, you're good. I realized like one time, bro, there was a time I actually like cried, bro. And I was like, like, God, why me? Like, why do I have to deal with this? Like, because I'm very productive. But this thing would like literally make me not feel like doing anything. So I'd be like, why do I have to go through this? Like, I've not done anything to anybody. Like, I was 12 when I got introduced to this. I never chose for this life. Yeah. But I think now is when I've actually realized, like, bro, I had to go through it so that I can talk about it. You know what I mean? And like walk people through it, because it's like, if for me, like when I'm talking to people and they can't relate like with what I'm saying, I usually check out, because I'm like, bro, you don't understand me, man. You don't get it. But if it's like somebody who's gone through something like me or something that I've gone through, so it's like it makes it easier for me to share and like relate with that person. And I felt like that's what God was doing in my life, because there was no other reason that I could put to it. Like, why me, man?
Like, why me?
Yeah.
That made me remind me of something I just spoke about. Sorry, and I know we're wrapping up, so I'll try to be brief. In John chapter 9, verse 3, in John chapter 9, we see like Jesus talking about like this woman who's this man who was blind, and everyone's asking like, why is this man blind? Why is he struggling with this affliction? What like was it because of his sin or whatever? And Jesus says, it wasn't because of his sin. It was so that God, I'm paraphrasing, but it was so that God can prove himself mighty, right? And I think a lot of times we feel like, okay, God can't use me. This situation is so whatever. But I think we should be looking at certain situations as an opportunity for God to prove himself mighty.
That's crazy. That's exactly how I felt about my story, because even putting this stuff like on the internet, I could be a meme, bro. You know what I mean? Yeah, you could. But it's like, I'm willing to let God use me, man. Like, I'm down for that. And hopefully it does change somebody's life. Hopefully it does encourage somebody to be like, if that guy, you know, is doing this and he's gone through that, like, I can do that, you know?
Yeah. And so, I mean, that's just that was put on the person that is out there that feels like they can't overcome and they don't, like, you know, just don't give up. I feel like look for people outside of yourself to help you with this problem. I think, you know, the African proverb, we can end it right there, because it's so good. It's like, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And I think just having people around you that are like-minded, that are helping shaping you, you know, having that godly character, that godly influence, people that are, you know, just more mature in how to handle these matters. Right. Bring yourself before them, share with them, and they'll be able to help you out. And so for me, it looked different. And so like for any young person, anybody in the church, I would say, this is just for me, I would say, look, plug yourself into the church. Plug yourself into talk to your youth pastor, talk to your young adult pastor, talk to your pastor, find mentors. Like, do not let this guilt and shame of this sin affect your service in the church. And that's another topic for another day.
Bro, I love that, man. Like, I was going to ask you your last take, but I think you just gave it to us. And if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go farther, go together, man. So just tap in with us. Thank you so much, Benny, for joining, man.
Of course,
appreciate you, bro.
Thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure. It's an honor, honestly.
Bro, that was deep, and I hope you guys really enjoyed and probably got something from that. We hope you could, you know, watch the message a few times and probably get something from it, and also share with people who you think might get help from this by listening to this podcast, by listening to what Benny shared. He has some good stuff in there. I might listen, and then if people hit me up about struggling with some stuff, I might be able to just send them to you.
To me, man.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for watching. We hope that you've been blessed. We hope you enjoy the content that we produce on this show. If you'd like to support, just share with people, subscribe, and like. Definitely comment if there's some topics you want us to talk about, or if you feel like you're a parent or somebody older that has some things that would like to share with the young people, the young generation. Feel free, come here, because on here, we're all about investing in our generation. See you guys.